Hello guys, in this video, you can find out what you can do in Singapore with 50 Singapore dollars. Just as a disclaimer, the 50 Singapore dollars budget does not include lodgings and flights. But one thing that I can actually advise is actually to book your hotel or your lodgings at around Bugis area, which is actually still considered a town area, but it's not as premium as Orchard Road. And it's really easy for you to travel around from town area to different parts of attractions in Singapore. As an Indonesian that have been living in Singapore for the past 16 years, time to time, friends, families asking me what to do in Singapore. And some of them actually ask me, is Singapore really expensive? Singapore has made top 5 most expensive country in the world to stay. So I do believe these questions are actually pretty common. In my opinion, I don't think you can actually find any other developed country in the world that you can actually visit as a tourist that is as affordable as Singapore. Two things that are really expensive in Singapore, actually properties and cars. The best thing about Singapore is actually the fact that the public transport system here is actually really good. What I love about Singapore is the fact that I personally think that the public transport system in Singapore is actually the best in Southeast Asia, or probably even in Asia. It's kind of a combination of cultures and technologies, whereby of course you can see a lot of skyscrapers, man-made structures which are really beautiful, and also heritage buildings. Another best thing, especially if you came from the western side of the world, most of Singaporeans can actually speak English, so I don't think you will find any issues with communications in Singapore. So you landed on the best airport in the world, which is the Changi Airport. One thing that I would like to suggest is actually not to take taxi from the airport with the limited budget that we have at this point of time. So I would suggest you actually go down to the basement, take the MRT, which is a Singapore train system, purchase this card, which is actually called the EasyLink card or SeaPass card, that is going to cost you $15. Some of the other cities in the world whereby you are required to purchase like different cards, and which sometimes tend to be very confusing. In Singapore, you can actually just use this one card for your transportation need. With the $15 price tag, you will actually get $7 value inside the card. You can actually get back a refund of $3 at the end of your trip if you decided to return the card. You will travel for Changi Airport and alight at Bugis MRT station. Most hotels in Singapore actually allows you to check in at 2 p.m. So of course, if you're traveling in the morning, you just simply deposit your bag first. From your hotel, you can actually take bus or walk to Jalan Sultan. You can actually see some of the Malay heritage buildings, including the oldest mosque in Singapore, which is the Sultan Mosque. You can actually walk around the area, take some photos there, visit the Malay Heritage Center, walk a little bit to the Sultan Gate and so on and so forth. Also check out the Haji Lane, whereby a lot of Singapore local designers actually have shops there. I would actually recommend you to have early lunch at this row of shop houses where you can actually enjoy really nice and famous Indian food. So I decided to order 2 pratas, 1 prata kosong and 1 egg prata, plus mineral water. So this actually cost me $4. From there, you can actually walk towards Bugis. You can actually see this building called Parkview Square. A lot of people in Singapore actually call it Gotham Tower of Singapore. As far as I know, you are not allowed to take photos inside the building, but no one will actually stop you take photos outside the building. If you like architectural or you are into architectural photography, I would recommend you to walk a little bit further to this fairly new building called Galleria. In my opinion, it's one of the most beautiful buildings in Singapore at this point of time. From there, you can take bus all the way to Chinatown. If you take bus from Parkview Square, you should be able to see this beautiful temple on the right side. I will actually put the name of this temple down here because I actually scared of mispronouncing the name. You can visit this temple and go inside the temple for free. If you're lucky enough, sometimes they actually have Hindu traditional celebrations. If you decided to take some photos inside the temple, they will actually charge you a ticket price for that, which is $3. This time, I decided to actually purchase the ticket and actually cost me $3. From the temple, you can actually walk further towards the heart of Chinatown, where you can actually see this beautiful building called Buddha Tooth Relic Temple, whereby you can actually find the actual Buddha Tooth Relic inside the temple. and you can actually go inside the temple for free, and you can see beautiful shop houses, Chinese architectural, heritage buildings and culture there. Actually budget $5 here to buy some snacks and small souvenirs. From Chinatown, let's take the MRT again and alight at Bayfront MRT, where we are going to visit Marina Bay Sands, which is probably the most iconic building in Singapore. It's actually a hotel, and opposite of the hotel is actually a casino. As a tourist, you can actually go inside the casino for free, but of course, your casino budget will not be included within the 50 Singapore dollars budget. Marina Bay Sands is actually considered a premium location in Singapore, so when you go inside the Marina Bay Sands, you can actually find many high-end brands, many restaurants that are actually owned by celebrity chefs, including the famous Gordon Ramsay. With the budget, we will not go into any of the restaurant and we will not go to shop. With the budget, if you feel a little hungry by now, I would recommend you to visit this food court rather than one that is more famous at the basement. The prices are about the same, but the basement one is always be really crowded. Typically, meal here is actually more expensive than any places in Singapore. So here, I would actually budget $8 for a meal here. Okay. From Marina Bay Sands, my next destination is actually Garden by the Bay, which I think is the most impressive modern man-made structures in the world. From Marina Bay Sands, you can actually take this super high escalator up to the rooftop, and you can enjoy a view around Marina Bay Sands, and you take the bridge to Garden by the Bay. On top of the bridge, you can actually see the beautiful structures of Marina Bay Sands Hotel. Walk further and you can actually see the back of Marina Bay Sands Hotel, which is equally beautiful. You can visit Garden by the Bay for free, but if you decided to go to the two domes, which is actually within Garden by the Bay itself, you need to pay extra for that. With the budget, I will skip that. Outside Garden by the Bay, you already be able to find a lot of beautiful places that you can actually visit. The meadow, where you can see the famous floating baby sculpture. You can also see the Chinese garden within Garden by the Bay, and of course the famous super tree structures. Interestingly, these super tree structures is actually not just a decoration purpose. It is actually a really high-tech structure used to maintain the humidity vectors around the area, which allows Garden by the Bay to maintain all the different plants that they have. Enjoy your sunset at Garden by the Bay, because I think it's really beautiful. If you like to, you can actually stay longer to watch the Garden Rhapsody, which is actually the super tree lights up. It happened at 7:45 and 8:45 p.m. And if you like to, you can of course visit Bugis Street. We have left with an $8 budget, so you can actually use the $8 budget to have dinner. So those are the stuff that you can actually do in Singapore with 50 Singapore dollars budget. So that's all for today. If you decided to visit Singapore, have fun. And I do believe Singapore is very safe. It's just like many PSA campaigns in Singapore, low crime doesn't mean that there are no crime. So of course, as a tourist, just be careful all the time. Enjoy your time in Singapore. I hope this video is useful. If you want to actually know what I do for a living, you can actually check out this link below. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.